old Chuggy D have listened to the entire 376,000 songs on the new Zach Bryan album, American Heartbreak, and we're gonna give our reaction to our first listen through. Buckle up, everybody. There might be some hot takes. You wanna lay down the bones that you're talking about?
Yeah, let's just like talk about the album before we start into any more. We said the word hot take in the hot take started.
Should I remove the chat?
That's all that happened. That's all that happened. So, triple album, right? This is a triple album.
34 songs.
34 songs. This is a triple album.
Yes.
If you got the material, I say do it. I'll tell you this.
Okay, that's the first question. Was it, in your opinion, was it too many songs for a debut album? This is his debut album.
I think it's a bit indulgent to do 34 songs.
A lot.
But if you got the material, do the songs. And if you can crank out that many stories, then I say go for it. If you got 34 songs, record 34 songs. The record label is the one that's going to give you shit for recording 34 songs, and it's less and less of a concern as time goes by.
They pay it for all them songs.
Yeah. I was gearing myself up for this. I was like, all right, I'm going to listen to basically a 2-hour-long Zach Bryan video. Here we go. And I was like, all right, I can do it. I can do it all in one sitting, no problem. And the first thing I hear is an out-of-tune guitar. It's like the first hit, the guitar's out of tune.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, can I do it? Can I do it? Is Monday the day that I do that? Look, the critique we have heard about this is we like Zach Bryan on a YouTube video sitting on the porch where somebody's recording it on their phone.
That's what on people some Cold Daddy coolers.
Right? Well, this album in places maintained that kind of sonic feel, but in other places it was very much a larger, more dynamic sound. It sounded much better, but it still had the feel of this dude playing with his buddies, of this dude just kind of putting it together and making it happen. And I dig that, man. I dig that it kept the vibe, even though the sounds are so different throughout the album.
Yeah. It sounds young and loose.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds what I imagine hanging out with Zach Bryan on a Friday night is probably like. A little bit wild, a little bit loosey-goosey, real young.
And getting high until you cry.
Getting high until you cry. So it starts out with an out-of-tune guitar, and it just keeps this vibe of honesty. Now, I asked a question on my social media, and I asked people, describe this new album in 5 words or less. And one person just put honest. And I think that's as good as you can describe this. It's honest, it's young, it's very free, and some people are not going to like that. I will be honest, personally, that I really appreciate great musicianship, great production, great singing. To me, like, vocals are my favorite thing. I really love, like, great vocals. And I would be honest to say that it isn't any of those things. I think that he's not the best singer.
Yeah, it's not a super refined album.
He's not the best player.
Yeah.
His band's not the best. He's playing with his friends.
Yeah. He's
and
doing what he do.
He's doing what he does, and he has the money and the support where he could have gone and done all of that. And I really think, especially on certain songs, he found the fine line of a produced song that still has that raw, authentic vibe. Like, for example, I think Something in the Orange is fantastic. I like the version that he put on the album more than I did the single, actually. And the one he put on the album is more loosey-goosey. But I feel like the producer of the album did a great job of kind of like wrangling him, but still keeping the feel.
You know, I think Keith's coming in and says, sounds like most everyone agrees ZB, a good guy, love him, would like a tighter album. I would be curious to see what a in 18 months, if he gave it 18 months and refined this album, what it would be like later, or 2 years later, as a writer, as a person who continues to work on this material and craft it as it's played live. I would be curious to see if he was like, if this album was, all right, give us 12 songs, what that album would be like. How many of these different concepts and different ideas that fit into similar veins would become part of one song or become parts of the movement of the album. There is that thing, but also the guy just don't play by the rules. I mean, he's like, he's an internet guy that's burning down the tours. You know what I mean? It's like,
he's a guy who, when it's raining and storming outside, he tells venue folks that he'll play in the parking lot if he needs to. So we've been talking a lot of kind of stuff that we don't love about it. What were some things that you did like about it?
I think that he is a lyricist. I think above all else, he's a decent player.
He said that. Yeah. He claims to be a writer and not a musician and not a singer as much.
So this is what happens when we celebrate a lot of these young guys. It's the old man. It's the old soul, right? It's the young guy who can already write like an old guy. Yeah. And this is the type of lyricist he is. But he's also still writing it with like enough of that like young enough to feel your soul type thing, as Lenny Kravitz calls it. I think that there's still a lot of passion in there where he's willing to, in a song about writing a song about someone that he loves, to tell this woman that he hates her, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of young passion. There's a lot of young regret in there. So it's interesting to see kind of the old soul writing style, but still have this much youthful passion in a lot of the lyrics. I love the writing. It's fantastic.
Lyrics are great. Next question. Well, we know that Zach can write great lyrics. Like that's, in my opinion, that's the vibe, and his lyrics are what people love. I think if you ask the majority of people, the rawness and the authenticity, plus his storytelling and the things that he says, are his things that are better than most people. Now, you know, some people might have some qualms with the musicianship, or the guitars being out of tune, or some songs kind of sounding the same. But like, when you have a fan base that loves you for what you say and the way you say it, not necessarily how well it's done, I mean, why not give that to them, man? And
right. And if you're only going to do one tour, one more tour. So Morningstar asked this question and said, I'd hate to see him rush because, I'd like to see him have a good career. I hate to see him rush himself because he's having fun. I don't think that's why he put out the triple album. I think he wanted to do it. I think part of it is his sense of humor and his sense of kind of rebelliousness of like, yeah, I'm going to put out a triple debut album.
I think, and he's said this in tweets, I think his philosophy on life is, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Live life to the fullest. Do everything you can. Now, you don't know what's going to happen. So his whole, like, this is probably my last tour. To me, it sounds like that same mindset of, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
This is not his last tour. I don't believe that. All right, so there was a couple of really cool moments that I have written down. One thing I wrote is, give folks what they love, but be the best version of it. That's what I think this album is. What everybody loves about Zach. All the, like, Zach Bryan, like, stans, the ones that are ride or dies, love this album. Did you get to the "If She Was a Cowboy" auto-tune moment?
I did not. I didn't hear that. I didn't notice that.
So there's a song called "If She Wants a Cowboy" where he's pretty much just giving two middle fingers to Nashville. And on the last chorus, they turn the auto-tune like all the way up, and he's just making fun of Nashville.
I don't think I listened to the whole song then.
Which is hilarious. It was incredible.
I'm down for that.
And then also, the main thing that I want to talk about is that good is relative.
And it's changing.
Yes, and we're having young folks that, let's be honest, I just watched an interview by Rick Beato talking about how kids don't love music the same way we love music. And he is getting young people to love music again, which is great. And I've always said it on this channel that your technical abilities don't mean anything if you can't make people feel something. Mm-hmm. And he makes people feel things. And in my opinion, that is all that matters. Now, do I personally really appreciate technically gifted people? Yes, I do. Can I also put a Zach Bryan album on while I'm in the backyard playing cornhole and be totally happy with my life? Absolutely too. And I really enjoyed the album. When I took the blinders off and tried to listen to what I think is demonstrably good, and was like, what is he going for? He's going for a young, fun, not very produced, loosey-goosey vibe. And he did that, man, and the songs are great. I love Something in the Orange. I love Younger Years. I love Cold Damn Vampires. I think that
That's such a good song.
I think the different chord changes and stuff that he switched up were fantastic. Mm-hmm. He has a line in there that I love. It says, if you want to be an artist, make something that makes sense. And this album makes sense to a lot of people. And then I love Ninth Cloud. Those are my top songs. All right, we have to answer the question that everybody's asking.
It's a tough one.
Do Zach Bryan's songs all sound the same?
When you say we have to answer the question,
I'll answer the question.
go for it.
Most of them do. Most of them do. Most of them, I can grab the guitar real quick. Most of them, if you're a Nashville number person, is a 4-1-5-6 or a 4-1-6-5. Most every song has the same chord progression and a similar melody. Is that wrong? My papaw told me throughout my entire life that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Mm-hmm. And I personally did not get tired of songs sounding similar because, remember what we talked about, his authentic vibe and his lyrics are like his go-to. And that was fantastic. But I do believe that a lot of the songs sound similar. And some people are going to get mad at me about that. There are some songs that didn't sound similar, like Billy Stay, I thought was a really creative and different one. Mm-hmm. I thought Cold Damn Vampires sounded really different. But even if they sound similar, that doesn't mean they're not great. I mean, like, you could take all of the great... Go listen to John Moreland. Except for his recent stuff, do a lot of John Moreland songs sound the same? Absolutely.
Andrew WK? AC/DC?
Do a lot of Turnpike songs kind of sound the same? Absolutely. I'm going to say I love Zach is trying to do things differently. He does not care about the system. He is doing his own thing. And we just got to hold up a cold daddy to him. There's some great songs on the album. The vibe, the authenticity is fantastic. Love what he's doing. Really enjoy it.